The Supreme Court may have struck down the Electoral Bonds scheme, but Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has already put in place another mechanism to control funding of political parties in India. It is now collecting details of political donations going to all parties through any route. This will be done through the new forms for income tax returns. These require every individual, company, or organization to compulsorily furnish details of political donations to the income tax department through these annual returns. They do not have to disclose which party they donate to, but they have to detail the amounts they donated, be it in cash, checks, bank transfers, or electronic bank transfers, along with details of bank transactions for each donation. This includes donation made through electoral bonds. Which party the money went to, the income tax department can now easily detect on its own, or it can now share the data with the Enforcement Directorate, which also comes under the Finance Ministry. Donors earlier were only required to submit the total amount they spent on political contributions. This sometimes did mean that taxpayers faked information to get tax benefits. Striking down electoral bonds, the Supreme Court said citizens have a right to know who is giving money to political parties and politicians. The electoral bonds data was also known only to the government, and the court found it unconstitutional. But the government is now going to collect transaction records of not just electoral bonds, but of all funding of every party. And again, keep it hidden, decide what to do with it, and against whom. The Enforcement Directorate will be able to access this data. But you and I, ordinary citizens who vote to elect our representatives, won't know anything yet again. Made us wonder, did the government know the electoral bonds era was going to be over? And it already built another way to potentially choke donations to opposition parties? Though the Supreme Court has held the electoral bond scheme to be unconstitutional, the government has now set up this discrete route to collect data on political donations. Not even the Election Commission, which is constitutionally mandated to run free and fair elections and operate at arm's length from the executive, is permitted by the union government's laws to gather such granular data. It is not even allowed to independently audit accounts of political parties. So, the EC remains toothless on political funding, but the government has armed itself yet again.